All right, guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about outsourcing your business to free up your time so you can scale. So, when you begin to start making some money online and it's repeatable, right? I want you to focus on doing all aspects of your business from the get go. If you outsource too quickly, in my opinion, you don't understand how the business properly works. When I first took on e commerce stores, I was doing the customer service of everything for weeks, and it wasn't fun by any means. And I had some slips in the crack where I wasn't answering emails fast enough. And so that's a problem. And the good thing about it was that I was able to identify it in order to correct it. And then when I hired somebody, I knew exactly what to do in order to not have those problems. I don't want you to do that as long as I did. I want you to make some money, but you always have to factor in the costs of outsourcing somebody, but you have to take everything into perspective as well. So a lot of the downfalls that people think they have in their mind about outsourcing, I listed a couple of them here. It says they feel like they're too close to the steps in the project, like nobody else can do it other than me. A lot of people think that. That's completely not true. There's plenty of people out there that are probably better at you than a lot of these aspects of this business. One of the things I always tell my students is that, like, what are you? What are your goals? What are you here to do? Is it to answer customer support emails? If the answer is no, then why are you doing the customer support emails? It doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it. We had that problem in the t-shirt marketing game for a while too, that nobody wanted to outsource anything. But you have to figure out what your goals are for this business in your own role. I wasn't someone that wanted to design t-shirts, so I outsourced to a designer almost immediately in that game. And now in this business, I've outsourced several pieces of it where I focus on a very limited amount of it so that I can make sure that I'm coordinating the entire business. And that's how a proper business works. Another thing is that people don't trust others to handle the work. And that's perfectly understandable, right? Especially if you're having virtual assistants. What you have to get over is that anybody that you entrust something with an employee, you're going to have risk. You need to put the measures in place to make sure that they don't have too much control over your business. I've been burned before where, I caught my project manager stealing from me. These things happen, and you need to understand that it's not going to wreck your business if you set things up properly. And that's what I want to help you do, and make sure that you're siloing off businesses, parts of your business, as much as possible. They don't know the cost. This is you, by the way, what I'm saying, if you have a hesitation. They don't know the cost and think it will be too expensive. A lot of people think that, a designer that you pay $30 an hour is too expensive. I would disagree. If a designer can pump out a design in an hour and it's fantastic because he's justified to have the price of $30 in an hour, then that is going to be more cost effective for me in the long run because it's probably going to sell better than some designer that costs $5 an hour and takes them 4 hours to get the design done. Time is money as well. So keep that into perspective. And especially with customer service and all these things we're going to talk about here in a minute, the cost associated with hiring that person on board can easily be made up by you getting time back, where you were spending all this time doing tasks that can be outsourced to other people, and then $9 an hour or whatever it ends up being that you pay somebody really isn't that much money in perspective. And then you don't know where to begin to look, and that's especially about your business too. I'll recommend a handful of resources. Upwork.com, it used to be Odesk. Onlinejobs.ph, and then if you really want to have somebody really quick, not a long-term gig, but if you need a quick adjustment on something, you can go to to Fiverr.com, and that's going to be something that's very quick. Sometimes you can take those people off of Fiverr and have like a contract with them. That's something that I would do, but I would never do one-offs on Fiverr as a long-term strategy. I would always move to onlinejobs.ph or my personal favorite, Upwork, which you can list a job, have them on a contract, and then have visibility into what they're doing if you set it up correctly. So the important thing for you to do is start small and work your way up with outsourcing. I'm going to go over a strategy at a very top level that you can possibly take as you're scaling out your business. Review your entire business model, that's what we'll do here in a second, and start creating silos of tasks that can be outsourced first, one by one. And we'll go over a 3-step process that I've identified as a possibility for you to mimic. Next, we want to prioritize, so our first hires are the positions with the least financial risk to your business. The last thing that you want to outsource is something that directly affects your pocketbook. And there's checks and balances for everything, but the very last thing in terms of my business that I outsourced was the ads. Because you spend thousands of dollars a day, you could get wrecked pretty hard if your eye is not on the ball. So I had to do that with my partners who are on equal footing with me, and we share responsibility. And that's how we've done it. Now, I'm not saying I can't eventually get somebody on board at a contract level, an employee level, to do my ads. That's just where my business currently is. And we've done very well with it because there's enough of us in the mix to really take it to the next level. But we can scale from here, I know it, because we're not the biggest business in the world. So there's room to scale. So eventually we'll take on employees to handle advertisement as well. So now let's go over the shoulder. I want to tell you what I'm talking about as far as the team. So I have kind of created here a back end and a front end of your store. So if your store is here, mattstore.com, your front end is everything that the customer sees. And then the back end is taking care of everything. And these are just at a top level, some tasks I see could be outsourced or potentially outsourced, or at least identified as your business. And your business might be very similar to this. So on the front end side, we have our customer service. We have live chat, which is an app that I recommend that you put on. Phone and text support, if you can afford it. Email support, and Facebook page monitoring. Facebook page monitoring is actually a very crucial avenue for our business model because people bought through you on Facebook, and so they're going to go back to your page in order to voice opinion about something and to ask questions or any other kind of concerns that they have. So that's these 4 right here on your customer support on the front end are almost exactly the support that you have on the back end too, at least the avenues. But the problem is that they're going to have different questions. So what you need to do is either have somebody that's very, very versed in both of these, or have 2 different people who have 2 different sets of questions and experience and so on and so forth. We'll talk more about that in a second. New market research. If you have a store that's kind of general, if you're not going for the niche store, you're going to want to have new market research. And if you're maybe potentially creating a new store, you could say this is your company and then store, and then we create new stores. So new store research, new market research is something that you could potentially outsource. And that is just going out there and finding potential in the market very similar to how you just did. And that's a great resource for you to have eventually. And somebody's definitely having to do that. So product selection, finding new products, and listing the new product. That's some manual tasks that you yourself as a business owner are probably doing right now. We walk through those steps in the fundamental videos, and that's exactly how you find something new to list, right? I mean, that's exactly the process you're going to have to do over and over again. So keep that in mind. And then advertisement. Of course, we have Facebook ads, targeting, ad launching, scale, keep, and kill, which is really monitoring. So these are tasks that I personally have kept for myself till the very end. And we'll talk more about that and why I did that. But then other traffic sources as well. Of course, Pinterest, AdWords, the world is expanding. E-commerce is growing. We're never going to want to be just siloed into one traffic source. We want to expand as much as possible. So in the back end, you have order fulfillment, which is manual order placement if you're in the testing stage, or maybe you have a one-off eBay order. I've sold thousands of necklaces using one-off orders on eBay before. I couldn't find a reliable supplier on any other site except for the eBay, especially with the shipping time. So we had manual orders. So I had somebody doing manual orders every single day to catch up with the orders that were coming into the door. Purchase order creation. That's basically taking maybe the day's orders and creating a PO and making sure that it gets to the supplier. And that's an important feature because that's going to take a chunk of orders off your plate every single day. So somebody's going to have to do that. Supplier negotiations and relationships. That's a crucial factor in your business succeeding over the long term. If you're not negotiating with your supplier, especially as you grow, you're going to leave money on the table, and you're going to eventually want to have conversations with somebody who can control the cost and the quality, and you want a direct line of communication directly to someone with some say on the other side of the table, the supplier side. And maintaining that relationship will help you in the long term. Well, especially if you have problems or something like that, you can even get them quickly fixed. Customer service, again, we've already talked about. So what do I want to outsource first? In my opinion, manual order placements, something that you could create a short video for. If you have the advanced package, you'll have one for you. And the customer service is something that you need to outsource immediately. I would actually prefer that you handle this first. Why? Because I want you to go find somebody with experience. So when you post a job on a site, I would only hire somebody who's been trained. There's plenty of people out there, especially in the Philippines, because the companies that basically, the biggest companies in this country all outsource to the Philippines. So why wouldn't you be doing that? Or, even if you find somebody here with some experience, that's perfectly great as well. But the fact of the matter is that relationship and being a good customer service agent is something that a business owner it will have an initial difficulty to do, because you got a million things on your plate. So you might be a little short with a customer. You might not answer everybody, like I was talking about with my gaps that I had early on. But if you have a nice face on your company, the face of your company is going to be your customer service. So the most important thing that your customer is going to see is your site. Is it trustworthy? If I can hit them up, do they respond with, hey, I'd be happy to help you. How can I help you? Or here's your order, or we'll make this right, so on and so forth. Customer service is key for your business in the long-term time frame. So outsource this to somebody who knows what they're doing. Don't mess around with it as short of amount of time as you can justify. There's plenty of people out there. Take care of it immediately. Manual order placement, like I said, do it as well, because it's a lot of repetitive tasks that you can easily create a short video for and show people how to do it. You do have to quite possibly have a PayPal account created for somebody. What you can do is create a PayPal account and fund it off of your main PayPal account. And that way they only have access to a small portion of money, and you can see how much money is coming and going. There probably shouldn't be any money coming other than what you're putting in there. So how much money is going out, you have control over it, you have visibility, so on and so forth. Step 2. The next thing I would want you to outsource is new market research, product selection, finding new products, and listing new products. The reason for that is that it's very repetitive. It all rolls up to essentially the same factors, right? So your product selection, does it have social proof? Is it in the same niche? If we're in a new market, what are the criteria for us going into the new market? If you can be trained in this, so can somebody else. So, especially listing new products, that is something that's incredibly easy, and you could almost go in reverse order if you really wanted to. The great thing about your store is that you essentially, if you follow the MVP model, you're not going to have that many products listed. But maybe you're a t-shirt marketer and you came off of Teespring and you've been selling for years. Well, if you get a listing new products agent, or if you just find somebody to do that for you, you can take all that off your hands. And we're doing that right now with a new store where we're loading 50 plus shirts in there, which takes a lot of time manually, especially with all the variants and things like that can come up, the different sizes and colors. So having somebody taking care of that for you is pretty clutch. So last thing that I want to do on this, and obviously there will be more, but is the purchase order creation. So purchase order creation, it's a little different. They're responsible for just organizing, being timely, making sure they have hard cutoffs. So you say, hey, everything on Monday gets sent out on Tuesday, everything on Tuesday gets sent on Wednesday, so on and so forth. If you're using AliExpress, you can place an order or have them place an order and then not pay it, and then you can come in and pay it. That way you have control of the money. And that's a line of defense there for you as well in your business. But purchase order creation takes a little bit more responsibility than just manual order placement, and it's the last thing on this list that I would have. Now, if somebody who's doing manual order placements could obviously, move these together, and now you have one person that does both of these, perfectly fine. Your customer support agent could be one person, and this person right here could also be, if you wanted to, the order person as well. So you don't really have to hire that many people as long as you find the right kind of person to go after. The one thing I will say is that this person I would hire for experience, and this person I would just hire for a good fit. Anybody can be trained in these areas, these two areas, the market research, product selection, and the order placements. People can be trained for that. So just find somebody that's a natural fit for your company versus somebody who has customer service experience. That needs to be somebody that knows how to handle angry customers, happy customers, and everybody in between. So the last thing you can see I don't have changed here is supplier negotiations and relationships and the advertisement. As your business grows, you can eventually get to this point. And like I said, I am doing that as well. But you can do 6 figures a month with taking a lot of the manual or non-important, and not that they're not important, but non-financially risky tasks off your table. There's placements, there's blocks in place for these to have checks and balances on that are naturally easy for you to have an eyeball on as a CEO type level, but you don't have to do it to the day-to-day, and that's what's been working for us. But these right here are riskier in terms of leaving money on the table, spending too much time on ads that are not working, buying products that you haven't fully negotiated or you haven't checked the quality, so on and so forth. That's going to be something here that I want you to leave to the very end. And then you could outsource these. Again, I would do a little bit of a hire by, fit. Vinny, this guy that I know that's in a group that I'm part of, he says hire for a culture fit versus hiring for somebody with experience, especially on this level, because you can teach somebody this. You might have to be side by side with them for a while, because you probably weren't a Facebook marketer when you started taking on this stuff. And so you can teach somebody because you learned how to do it yourself as well. So that is the last thing that I wanted to cover in this video. I think this provides a lot of opportunity for you to free up time, and time is money, and take your business to the next level. So I'm going to leave all of these in here as well, and you'll be able to download them and review them and make some notes if needed. But really, it's going to be about your store and your process and what you feel comfortable with in terms of outsourcing. But don't be afraid to start doing it, because once you make some money and you want to make more money, you're going to have to take some time back into your favor, right? You're going to have to buy yourself some more time, because there's only so much time in the day and you're only going to be awake for so long. So it's either burn the midnight oil or get some sleep and have somebody else that you trust that can bring some experience to the table and frankly might be better at it than you are, and that's perfectly fine. So that's it for this video.